Okay, so in this video we're going to look at how you can use the basics of Photoshop and layers to create an image from two different images, and our exercise is going to be to create a poster transposing the genre of one film onto another film. And this is the one I've created, and I've created this out of using the poster for A Quiet Place Day One, which is a kind of horror thriller film, and I've used the poster for Notting Hill, which is a rom-com, to create this composite image. So what we're going to start by doing is we're going to take elements from this image and transpose them onto the Notting Hill image. I'm just going to make this slightly bigger. You can do this by, if you click on Command on the keyboard, you can just make this slightly bigger so that you can actually see that. And what I'm going to do, this is a JPEG file. Do make sure you use large quality images, yes, you will have to struggle. You'll struggle a bit if you're using not very good quality images, so make sure that they are at least, sort of A4 size, so something like 1,500 pixels. This is by over 2,000 pixels. So what we're going to do first of all is don't do anything with the existing images that you have. Save them as Photoshop files. So go to File and Save As, and you're going to save this Notting Hill poster as Notting Hill. You're going to save this as My Photoshop Design. So My Photoshop Design, and we're going to save that as that and click on OK. So what you're going to start off by doing, and I've already actually done this with this one, so I'm going to just delete background layer, yes. We're going to work with layers. Layers are a bit like tracks in Premiere, if you use those. So you can basically layer up elements and then control each independently. So what we're going to do, over here you've got a box which shows you all your layers. If you click on Command, if you click on Control and open up and click on the mouse and open up this box, it will give you the option to duplicate layer. And just click on OK. I'm actually going to do two duplicate layers, so I'm going to do that again, and it just names them duplicate layer 1 and 2. Switch off your background layer. You're only going to use that if something goes wrong. You're going to start off by using these two. And then what I'm going to do with background copy number 2, I'm actually going to remove the background, and the way I'm going to do that, sorry, I'm not going to remove the background, I'm actually going to remove the figure of Hugh Grant, because what I want to do is try and put my actor from Quiet Place into my rom-com. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the selection brush tool. So if you go over here to your toolbox, you've got various tools, don't worry about those for the moment, but use selection brush tool. You can set the size of your brush, so let's make it a little bit bigger, and that will be slightly easier. And you can see there it's quite big. If I make it huge, you can see it's even bigger. Let's go with that. And if you click and drag, you've got to keep the mouse click down to do this. I'm basically going round the figure, not too broadly, but just giving a little bit of background and making sure there are no bits missing. And then what I'm going to do, this is generative fill, which just should be on your screen. If I click where it says generative fill, I'm going to give it a command, and I'm going to say get rid of the figure completely, because I don't want it to create another image. I just want to get it to kind of merge the background. And then if I click on generate, what that should do for me, it takes a while because it's quite a powerful engine. Oh, okay, that's created a completely different figure. Okay, this is the fun of actually doing this. So I'm going to actually undo that because that's not what I want, and I'm going to put in another command. I've done this a couple of times. Sometimes it works one way, sometimes it doesn't. Remove the figure remove the figure and have only background. I'm going to be more precise. And this is something that you can try out, because AI is not foolproof, and sometimes it does one thing and sometimes it does another. Okay, like magic. You can see there's a weird sort of shadow left, but that's fine. We can live with that. What I'm going to do, because I don't want to have this tool, I'm going to go back to my selection tool, which is just up there, and then I'm going to just move this. Oh, it's asking me to rate my result. Okay, I'm just going to say neutral and submit feedback. Thank you. It won't always come up with that. Right, so you'll now see that if I click there and click there, it allows me to show or not show the work that I've done. Now, what I've got here is basically a mask. It's a kind of additional thing. So what I want to actually do is create two layers. I want to actually join this layer that I've created with my background layer. Then I will be able to do more things with it. If I leave it like that, it'll be a little bit limited. So what I need to do is click on Shift, and that will allow me to select two layers. Can you see they're highlighted there? And then if I do a right click or press Control right click, I can actually merge my layers. So it will put those two things together. So I've still got my background image if I still want it, but I've merged those and the background layer. And what I can do now is get rid of some of the other elements. So I want to get rid of Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant's names up here, and I may also want to get rid of actually, I don't want to get rid of the name of the film. It's called it Notting Hill Car. It's a bit strange. But I do exactly the same thing. So my selection brush is too large. Can you see it's too big? So I'm going to actually make it much smaller to do this, because I want it to be a bit more precise. But it's exactly the same process. And I can just write. I think that will allow me to just generate without writing anything. It will just fill in my background for me. AI is a little bit temperamental and comes up with its own things. That's fine. There's a little bit of an issue there, but if I had more time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start using some of our different elements. What I've done, because the image here of Lupita Nyong'o is not that kind of in keeping with a rom-com, I've gone and actually got a Vanity Fair cover, which I've prepared earlier and created just like a kind of poster image as if she was a movie star, like the Julia Roberts character in Notting Hill. So I'm just going to select part of this by using the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm just going to click around part of the image. That's probably okay. So I'm going to do a cut and paste here. So I'm literally just going to do edit and I'm going to copy for the image. But I need to, because I've done some different things, if you're just doing it from a straightforward image, because you can see on my left-hand side, on the right-hand side rather, I've done a lot of generative fill and things. I need to copy merged, otherwise it'll only copy the top layer. And now if I go back to my Photoshop design, it will allow me to paste that into my image. It's not quite the right size, so I need to go to my selection tool. I'm going to place it somewhere up here. Actually, I'm going to place it there. And then I'm going to go to Edit and go down to Transform. And I'm going to go to the scale and just make this a bit bigger. So it's going to fill. I'm actually going to make it quite a lot bigger. So I'm sort of lining it up. I mean, obviously, if you've got more time, you can do all sorts of things. But I'm just going to get rid of the word Notting Hill. I'm not going to worry too much about that background there. And then I'm going to click. Can you see up here? It's got a sort of no and a tick. I'm going to click on the tick because that's now positioned it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my my layer, my background layer, so I can just switch that off, and that's the layer which I've removed that background there. So basically I want to go back to, that's the layer I want to go back to, and I want to get rid of this writing here at the bottom. So I'm going to do another selection brush tool, and I'm just going to do this because I just want to get rid of all of that. Prepare things in readiness. And again, I'm going to do the same generative fill and generate to do that. This will make much more sense when you've got your own images and you can actually see what you're doing. Okay, it's left some weird kind of sort of images. If we just zoom in a little bit, if I click on Command and just zoom in a bit here and go down, but I'm not too worried about those. If you want to make something less obvious, what you can do is go to one of the tools in the middle, and there is a blur tool or a smudge tool actually. Perhaps let's do the smudge first. I'm going to make it a bit smaller, and I'm just going to just smudge. Okay, I'm not working on the right layer. No, actually, I'm doing this too early. What I need to do is actually merge my layers. You remember we did that before, so that we could actually work on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to merge these two layers. Can you see over here? So that I can actually start to work on them and get rid of some of the other bits and pieces that I don't want. So I'm actually going to click on merge layers, and then that's my layer there that I want to work on. That will then, if I go to my smudge tool, that should allow me, can you see I'm just kind of smudging. I mean, there's other things you could do. I'm not too bothered. It will create different things that you might want to play around with. Then when I bring my poster back, it's a little bit odd, that background, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. I could always play around with that a bit more and yeah, just smudge things and yeah, kind of mess around with that. So what I'm now going to do, I have go back to my Quiet Place Day 1, and I'm going to take my other actor, Joseph Quinn, I believe he's called. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my quick selection tool, and that should allow me to click, make sure I'm actually on the right image. And actually with this, yeah, sorry, I have actually been playing around with this before, so I've got something else ready prepared. But basically, if I select, in fact, let me just make another duplicate layer, because if something goes wrong, I can go back to my background layer. So I'm just going to select just his head and shoulders, like this, a bit of his suit. And like I did before, you can see there's a little bit of the building behind him. So I'm just going to use the minus. If you go up to the top here where these little brushes are on the top left-hand side, I'm going to click minus, and I'm just going to get rid of anything that I don't want. So a little bit there. I mean, if you've got lots of time, you can really fine-tune this, but that's absolutely fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually copy. So I go up to edit and copy, and then I'm going to actually create another file and paste that into that file. So I'm going to create a new layer, thank you, and paste that onto my new layer. So I go up to layer, new, and you can see here I've got a new layer, and I'm going to paste that image of Joseph Quinn into that layer. So I just click on paste, and there it is. It looks exactly the same, but if I get rid of my background layer, you'll see I've just got his image. And what I'm going to do is go back to my selection tool and just move it a little bit further up. And I'm going to use my generative fill to actually create my figure, really. So I'm going to sort of select a bit of his shirt, and this is very much touch and go. You never quite know what's going to be created here. but I'm just going to colour all of this in. I'm going to do a bit of the shirt because that's a bit of a reference, and I could have made my brush a bit bigger here, but I'm just going to create, in fact I will make my brush a bit bigger because this is far too slow. I want to create a whole bit of body here, so I'm going to type in rest of figure in brown suit and tie, and I'm going to generate and see what happens. You get some really weird things sometimes, so you just have to keep your fingers crossed and hope that it generates something interesting. Just recording, sorry. And what I can do now, that's not brilliant. There's some other offers. Oh, that's a bit strange. I think that's the best one. I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to go with that for the moment, and you'll see one I prepared earlier, if I just switch that one off, was that one. So that's a lot better. So that I had to try several times to get that. I'm going to go with that one. You can try out your own things. And what I'm going to do is actually select with my selection tool, the quick selection tool. I'm going to just select this whole thing here, and actually go with my bigger brush. So I'm selecting basically the whole thing, and then I'm going to copy. I'm going to copy the merged image there, and I'm going to put that into this design. So I'm going to do File and Paste. There we go. Now it's very, very large. You can see that's behind. Let's just put that over the top. But I can go back and resize as we did before, transform and go to scale, and that just allows me to resize my image. That's a bit small now, so I want to get something that's just about the right size. Now obviously I've got a lot of weird things in the background there that I might not want, and also there's a bit of the hand missing there. So what I can do several things. I can either go back and get the perfect image, or I can actually use the eraser tool to get rid of some of the bits and pieces that I've got. This is quite painstaking, so there are other ways that we can do that, but you can actually, kind of work. Let's make it just a bit bigger again, change the size of it, and what I want to do is kind of get almost a little bit of a kind of fusion, as if he's in a, I don't know what's happened to his arm there, that's AI for you, but I want to get a bit of this background here, and then I can actually use that smudge tool to kind of, merge my layers a bit. I mean, obviously you can play around and get things working a bit better. That doesn't look ever so good, but you get the general picture. And if I kind of work on that, then I can actually get something that looks a bit more sophisticated. I mean, there's still something horribly wrong with this arm, but you can, then use your text tool and type in quiet place. And we can just change, help if I actually spelt that right, place. We can change the colour of that. Let's go for a classic pink. That's a nice colour for that. Okay, and then we can place that obviously where we want it. And that's basically the tools that you need. You need to kind of do things a bit more slowly than I was doing. But you've got basically now the tools, and you can create your own poster, which looks quite interesting.